Hello, hello. Today is April 27th. It's a Monday, and we are practicing summarizing and synthesizing. We'll be using the text Shelter from the Storm by Quentin Rivera Toro. Now, hopefully you've already watched the video explanation of summarizing and synthesizing, and you've watched that extra video clip about what it means to synthesize, because you're going to be doing all of those things. It's also very important that you've read this text already before watching this video, because if you haven't read the text, you won't totally understand what's going on. So today we're going to practice summarizing and synthesizing the story Shelter from the Storm. I'm going to be modeling how to summarize and synthesize this first page, and then you'll be doing your summarizing and synthesizing with this second page. So we're going to be doing this with a nonfiction text, and this narrative, as you should already know, explains how a family prepared for an upcoming hurricane and what happened after that hurricane hit. Now, before I start really doing my summarizing, I want to take a moment and I want to look at the title and the images in this text. So the title is Shelter from the Storm. I'm looking at the font used right here, the type of text, and how the word storm has all these slashes through it. It makes me think of damage. So I'm wondering, and I know storms can be dangerous, so I'm wondering if this storm caused a lot of damage. Shelter from the storm. And because the word storm is really big, I'm thinking that the storm itself is one of the main things in our text. I'll also look at these photos. The caption on the left says, "The flooded streets of San Juan, the capital of Puerto Rico." Now, if we're talking that this story is about a storm, I'm sure this flooding happened because of the storm. I see people walking with water up their legs. I see what looks like a fallen tree branch. It looks kind of sad and gloomy. I'm also going to look at this photo over here, a satellite image of Hurricane Maria over Puerto Rico. I'm guessing our storm that we're talking about is going to be Hurricane Maria. It takes place in Puerto Rico. And ooh, this looks like a massive storm. All right, this is helping me get focused as I start to read. I know I'm going to be looking at floods and damage caused by Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. All right, now that I've looked at my images and captions, I'm going to reread this first page of the text because this is what I'm going to be summarizing and synthesizing. But before I reread this page of the text, I want to do something that is really necessary when you're synthesizing, which is identify what do you already know or think before reading the text. So I'm going to grab a little sticky note. I'm going to put it up here now, and I'm going to say before reading, I know/think. Because if we're going to synthesize at the end of this, see how the reading changed our understanding or our thinking, we have to know what we thought before. So I'm thinking storms, hurricanes. Okay, so before reading, I know/think. I bet someone caught me on that while they were watching this. Before reading, I know/think that hurricanes are extremely dangerous and they kill a lot of people. That's kind of the only thing I think of when I think of hurricanes, that they're really dangerous, they kill a lot of people, they also cause a lot of damage. They mostly happen, I think, in the south or by water. So I'll say they mostly happen by the water. Now, maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but before reading, this is what I know and this is what I think. So step 1 in synthesizing. I'll even write that label up there. Synthesize, step 1. This is what I know before reading.
A storm.
That's going to happen a little bit. So now I'm going to be reading this first page and being prepared to summarize and synthesize. On September 20th, 2017, Hurricane Maria hit our island of Puerto Rico. Oh, the word our tells me that this is written in first-person point of view. I, me, my, our. And I also know that the author is writing about his experience. Days before the storm, my daughter and I made a trip to the market. The shelves were disordered and long lines of worried people wound through the store. We bought canned fruit and vegetables, rice, pasta, bottled water, candles, and batteries. Later, we secured our home against the storm. We nailed large pieces of plywood over all of our windows. As we worked, I turned to my daughter and said, "This will keep Maria out. Our house will stand strong against the wind and rain, and it will keep us safe." As you're reading, it's important to always clarify. As I'm reading, I needed to clarify to myself, wait, who's Maria? Oh, right. The first sentence told us it was called Hurricane Maria. So when it says this will keep Maria out, they're talking about the storm. "Okay," my daughter said in a hesitant voice that made me think she was not reassured. I wanted to say something that would give her courage, but anything I could think of would sound false and only reveal my own uncertainty. We finished our work in silence. Whew, that's already pretty intense. So I need to start my summary and synthesizing of this first page. Remember, I'll model this page, you'll do this one. Now, if I'm going to summarize this page, the first thing I need to do is a summary statement. I'm going to grab a text box. We'll make my color dark blue. Make it small enough so that it can fit. And I'll start right here. Okay, so my summary statement. This is how I'm going to open my summary. And as we've practiced before, I need to include the article title, the author, an action word like explains, says, tells about, and the main idea of the text. So let me start with what I definitely know already. Shelter from the Storm by Quentin Rivera Toro explains, that's my go-to action word. Shelter from the Storm by Quentin Rivera Toro explains. And now I need to think of the main idea. So let me look back here. What did this mainly talk about? Well, I know based on the title and the pictures, we're talking about a storm and the damage that happened from it. But this didn't really talk about the damage yet because the storm hasn't happened. It says, days before the storm, my daughter and I made a trip to the market. Later, we secured our home against the storm. He didn't think his daughter was reassured. We finished our work. Okay, so the main thing they're talking about in this page is preparing for the storm. So that's my main idea for this page. That's what this is mostly about. So Shelter from the Storm by Quentin Rivera Toro explains how the author and his daughter prepared for Hurricane Maria. That's my first sentence in my summary. That's my summary statement. Title, author, explains, main idea, how the author and his daughter prepared for Hurricane Maria. Now, I'll add to this summary in a bit. I will add to this summary in a bit, but for right now, what I need to do is I need to get I'm not going to use a highlighter. I'm going to use a pen. I'll use the color red. I'll make my tip kind of small. Make sure it works up there. That was just a play. Okay, now I'm going to reread through this, and I need to identify those important details. What's the main stuff that this page tells me? I'll be putting this in my own words in a bit, but right now I'm just looking for those main details. Okay? On September 20th, 2017, Hurricane Maria hit our island of Puerto Rico. Okay, the date could be important, so I'll underline that. I don't know if I'm going to include that yet. I'm going to underline the name Hurricane Maria because that identifies the storm and the name of the storm. Although, since I put that in my summary statement, I might not use that. Our island of Puerto Rico. This tells me where the storm took place. That could be important. Days before the storm, my daughter and I made a trip to the market. The shelves were disordered and long lines of worried people wound through the store. We bought canned fruit and vegetables, rice, pasta. Okay, so one of the things they did to prepare was go shopping for food. So I'm going to underline this last part. We bought canned fruit and vegetables, rice, pasta, bottled water, candles, and batteries. I won't necessarily say all of that in my summary, but that's some good information. Later, we secured our home against the storm. We nailed large pieces of plywood over all of our windows. As we worked, I turned to my daughter and said, "This will keep Maria out. Our house will stand strong against the wind and rain, and it will keep us safe." In this paragraph, the most important thing to me is what they did. We secured our home against the storm. Because the other details tell me how they did that. "Okay," my daughter said in a hesitant voice that made me think she was not reassured. I wanted to say something that would give her courage, but anything I could think of would sound false and only reveal my own uncertainty. Ooh, what this paragraph told me is that both the daughter and the author are really nervous. The lines that helped me figure that out are when they said, my daughter said in a hesitant voice. If your voice is hesitant, you're not quite sure of what you're saying. And down here when the author said, would only reveal my own uncertainty. Ooh, he's uncertain about things as well. Okay, so here are I read through and I picked out my main information, the important stuff. But hopefully you're saying, well, Ms. Kelleher, you can't just include all of those details. That'll be too long. And you're absolutely right. It will be too long. So to add to my summary, I'm going to try to take this information and put it into my own words, just getting the gist of what was important in this page. So what I already have, Shelter from the Storm by Quentin Rivera Toro explains how the author and his daughter prepared for Hurricane Maria. So the rest of my summary is going to be showing how they did that. I don't need to use all of the details. I need to just give the reader an idea of what this text talked about. So let's think. Up here, I said the important information was that they bought stuff to prepare for the storm. So let me just say that. Before the hurricane, the family bought food at the market. I don't need to say what kind of food they bought. I'm just saying they prepared for the storm by buying food. Okay, what did they do next? They secured their home against the storm. Next, they secured their home. Now, what if instead of saying against the storm, how could I make that into my own words? They secured their home to keep out wind, rain, and damage. All right, so this is what they did to prepare. I'm also going to include a little bit about this last paragraph. It says, my daughter said in a hesitant voice, only reveal my own uncertainty. How are they feeling? They're feeling nervous. So I'm going to say the author and his daughter were nervous about the storm. And there you have it. That is my summary of page 1. I have my summary statement. Oh, come on. Well, I have my summary statement. Shelter from the Storm by Quentin Rivera Toro explains how the author and his daughter prepared for Hurricane Maria. Before the hurricane, the family bought food at the market. Next, they secured their home to keep out the wind, rain, and damage. The author and his daughter were nervous about the storm. It's short. It's only the facts. It's in the order that this appears in. It's in sequential order. And it's in my own words. Now, the last thing I would need to do is synthesize. So I need to take what I thought before reading, that hurricanes are dangerous, they kill a lot of people, they cause a lot of damage. And I would need to write down here how my thinking changed after summarizing. My time's about to end for this video, but I'm going to put a post-it right here. See what I did?